As of January 2nd, 2019, there have been 1,258 claims filed so far in the Federal Vaccine Injury Compensation Program for 82 deaths and 1,176 injured that occurred after the measles vaccination. Of that number, the U.S. Court of Claims administering the VICP has compensated 483 children and adults who have filed claims for measles vaccine injury. In this speech, I want to inform you about the cons of vaccinating. We will explore the history of vaccinations, look at the difference in conditions vaccinations can cause, and see the statistics of injuries and deaths related to vaccinating. I don't know much about vaccines myself, other than the ones that I have received. However, I see and read a lot about them on a daily basis and believe it would be beneficial to do some research on. The first instance of vaccine promotion in the United States was in 1721 when Colton Mather and Puritan minister encouraged smallpox vaccination in response to an outbreak. In 1796, Edward Jennings began with his successful use of cowpox material to create immunity to the smallpox disease. Quickly made the practice widespread. His method underwent medical and technological changes over the next 200 years and eventually resulted in eradication of smallpox. The middle of the 20th century was an active time for vaccine research and development, as you can see. Methods of growing viruses in the laboratory led to rapid discoveries and innovations, including the creation of vaccines for polio. Researchers targeted other common childhood diseases such as measles, mumps, rubella, and vaccines for the diseases reduced the disease burden greatly. Measles immunization was becoming widely accepted in the United States in the 1960s. A formalin-innovated vaccine, licensed in 1963, was withdrawn because it induced short-lived immunity recipients to an atypical measles syndrome if they were exposed to the wild type of measles virus. Now that we've looked at the timeline for vaccinations, let's talk about what they are known to cause. Today, vaccinating is a very controversial topic due to the studies of them causing SIDS and other major side effects. Since immunizations are given to about 90% of children less than 1 year of age and about 1,600 cases of SIDS occur every year, it would be expected statistically that every year about 50 cases of SIDS will occur within 24 hours of receiving the vaccine itself. The speculative vaccination-autism connection decreased parental confidence in public health vaccination programs and created a public health crisis in England, which brought up questions about the vaccine safety in North America. After 10 years of controversy and investigation, Dr. Wakefield was found guilty of ethical, medical, and scientific misconduct in the publication of the autism paper. Additional studies showed that the data presented were fraudulent. The alleged autism vaccine connection is perhaps the most damaging medical hoax in the last 100 years. A total of 640,000 children were developed in the years 2000 to 2017, suggesting that there were an additional 491,000 paralyzed children above the numbers expected to develop. Using data from the government of India showed the PV vaccine doubled the deaths of children soon after vaccination compared to DPT, which is the tetanus vaccine. The author suggested that 7,020 to 8,190 deaths from PV each year in India. In my opinion, the fact that the peak of SIDS deaths rates coincides with vaccinating is a bit unsettling. Most people will be surprised to know that there aren't zero deaths caused by vaccinations. People do still get vaccine-preventable diseases in the United States. Tragically, people still do die of vaccine-preventable diseases in the U.S. from getting the vaccine itself. Millions of vaccines are given to children and adults each year. During the U.S. multi-state measles outbreak in 2014 and 2015, unsubstantial claims of deaths caused by measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine began circulating the internet. prompting responses by public health officials to address common misinterpretations and misuses of vaccine safety surveillance data, partially around spontaneous reports submitted to the U.S. Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Deaths associated with the vaccine administration but attributable to inappropriate handling, contamination, production error, and error of medical care. Vaccines, like any other pharmaceutical agent, are subject to mishandling that might, in extreme cases, lead to death. The Cutter incident is a well-known example of vaccine contamination caused by errors in quality control to the manufacturer and lack of clear guidelines from a regular agency. 60 vaccine recipients and 89 contacts of recipients contained the polio virus as a result of contamination of two production pools of inactive polio vaccine, or IPV. With live virus in 1955, contamination can occur at a more local level. Soki of 1991 reported several deaths following administration of measles vaccine in India. The report lists the cause of death as toxic shock syndrome and notes that the contamination was likely because shingles and needles were reused, and the sterilization procedures were unsatisfactory. To conclude, I encourage you to do some research to make more of an accurate assumption and furthermore a decision. Today we learn about the vaccines we looked at in the history, different conditions caused by vaccinating, and the reality of deaths followed by immunization. Opponents say that children's immune systems can handle with most infectious naturally, and that injecting questionable vaccine ingredients into a child may cause side effects and even lead to death. Is it really worth it?